welcome back. Well, now we have G2 versus GIANTX. I was very hyped about GIANTX, but their trajectory compared to G2's have kind of been opposites, with GIANTX looking very strong and G2 very weak. But now they've kind of collided in a different way. And what do you think about this series?
Well, definitely G2 clear favorites. I think they got their, their things together in week 3, drafting kind of the same style, what made G2 great as well. But yeah, going into this week, it feels exactly as you said, kind of reverse trajectories. I think G2 clear favorites again, and GX kind of has to fix a lot of things, I think, going into this series to even stand a chance against G2, because they've been looking really clean.
Yeah, I feel like when I look at GX, the win conditions would be like shutting down G2's support jungle, because I feel like G2's support jungle have been the most shaky. I feel like Hansama is a really good pillar on both, but especially Caps and BB just look really unbreakable. So shutting those down is just not going to happen. But the support in jungle, more risky, more volatile.
You're just saying to target the new boys coming into the
pretty
team.
Much.
But I do agree, because when I look at GX, one of the strong pillars of GX is Jun and Noah. I think Jun and Noah have been cracked, and when the GX games have been falling apart, have been just because of Jun and Noah. And even now, I mean, Rel is broken. Let's not yap too much about it. Every support in Europe does this, but the fact that he's just one of them, it's a good testament to his skill. But yeah, GX, a lot of power comes from Jun and Noah again. And with Closer, I think he has been a good glue. Similar to what he was doing in K-Corp, he has been a good glue for GX and what they want to do together. And as you said, I think targeting Caps and BB is especially difficult given Lot in Jackies, and I think Jackies has been a little bit underperforming coming to the split. I think when I was thinking of Jackies and when he had the most impact was in the previous splits, when he was kind of having these sort of pocket picks, Yone, Smolder kind of coming when he's not in meta. But right now, I feel like in this meta where everyone's playing a lot of wonky and diverse picks, he doesn't really have the impact that I would have liked to see from him.
Yeah, I'm wondering if maybe he'll look better in Fearless, but at the same time, it's hard for me to say. I think both supports looked really good on the Rel. For me, Labrov, what I really want to see from him is that he proves that he can be a top-tier support.
And not just a Rel merchant?
Yeah, pretty much, because the win rates speak for themselves. He wins nearly every game on Rel, but then you start banning the Rel, and it's like, what you got?
Yeah, because now the question for me about Labrov is this: is he just really good on Rel, you bring the most broken engaged support champion, and the fact that this kit is just so easy to execute, or can he do more on other champions? And maybe it was like, a little bit of a team diffy in the past, because right now you only get one shot at Rel. Question is, can he do the same on other champions? Or maybe Enchantress come in, or maybe can he pick up the Elise and play with the stuff that Mickey over there has been doing, right there. So there's a lot of questions to be asked, and I think this is going to be a defining series as well for Labrov going into June, because I also think that June is struggling with the same issues that Labrov has been having.
Yeah, I think for me this is like a series where it should be closer than the Fnatic Heretics, but it's still like pretty clear favorites for G2. But I was hoping to see a lot more from GIANTX, and I didn't see that in the last few weeks. So for me, I think this roster has potential to be top 4, and a clear, good showing against G2 will really like foundationalize that.
That's a made-up word, but it did sound really good.
Yeah, but so the question is, will GIANTX be able to break G2's newest members? What do you think, Drakos?
It's a tough call. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to foundationalize their game plan. Welcome, Mickey and Upset back to the desk. I'm glad to have you guys for picking bans. I wish there was a way we could do this for like game 3, when some of the picks are gone and we get into the spice. But I'm happy to have you for game 1. What do you guys think about what they're talking about? Is the only real way to attack G2 right now to attack jungle support?
I mean, I think it's all about foundationalizing, like Spectra said. If they foundationalize well, they can probably get a huge advantage in the foundation department. But if they do it poorly, it's probably going to be really hard for them to snowball the game.
Yeah, and I think all of it starts in the bot lane. I think
is that the foundation?
That's the foundation, yeah.
Okay.
I think that's where they have to strike, yeah. Because so far, the G2 bot lane has been a little bit shaky, some would say.
He's a little bit biased as well, I have to say.
I'm just saying, like last week, they died 2v2 to Team Heretics bot lane. This week, we played them, we didn't manage to die 2v2, so...
We even killed them 2v2?
We even killed them. So, our foundation is like pretty good, but I think for G2, yeah, that's something you have to attack.
He's never living down foundationalized, and I love that. How do you feel about the statement that GX like can be top 4, that they just need time to ramp up? Do you look at them as like a top 4 contender? I think right now people are seeing G2's momentum, they're seeing how well you're playing, and they're like, back to normal, Fnatic G2. Are GX a team who could upset that expectation?
Upset.
I mean, we don't have too much to. Wow, that's why he's a professional. I mean, we don't have too much to go off except the regular season, right? And scrims, but scrims are always really different. If we talk about GX being a top 4 contender, I think that's obviously the case. I think they have shown enough to say, yes, they can break into top 4. If they're really there yet, I'm not so sure, to be honest. I think teams like G2, us, KC maybe as well, and Matt have shown more in the last week. So I think they can break into it, but right now I would say G2 is the favorite.
I think it does make a lot of sense. Feels pretty obvious to me. When we talk about Fearless, I know scrims this week were probably insane because people are practicing a ton of different champions. Patch is something we've almost mentioned, like, not at all today. Do you feel like the patch mattered much when it came to adjusting champs or the meta, or is it mostly just, like, Fearless that changed everything for practice?
Honestly, I didn't even know there was a new patch. I didn't really pay attention. So, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, that's why we haven't talked about it yet.
Not many changes. I mean, they tried to nerf Skarner. I don't think they really succeeded.
They tried. I mean, he's still banned, so yeah, it would seem like they haven't succeeded enough. And
maybe 5 less damage on one spell, and he's finally out. It's not about the dash over the whole screen, undodgeable CC on 5 people.
Yeah. I really like when he hits E and then he interrupts every other champion's dash ability. That feels really good.
Fine,
I mean, Skarner has a weakness, though. I was watching the LTA, and you can also pull the enemy Neeko into you. So Neeko is a really good counter pick into Skarner.
Oh, I see. So you have to be careful about when you push the Skarner R. There's a little bit more nuance there.
He has other counters too. The red side ban, he's very weak to it.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if we get the same red side ban as we now have the player walkouts. G2 and GX both taking to the stage. So what do we expect in terms of picks and bans? It seems mostly like based on your guys' game 1, although I was surprised to see you get your, I would assume, your 3 most perfect champions in the first.
Yeah, it was shocking what Heretics drafted in game 1 for us, I think.
Yeah.
Like, no one gets to play this usually because it's just really OP. So we will probably see like all the OP champs in game 1 that you could see also in the regular season, right? Game 1 is still the exact same thing in draft. So all the priority on Skarner and maybe Kalista or Ambessa, Cassandra, all of these champs, right, that have really high pick rate.
Maybe some Mel. That'll be fun.
Yeah, Mel could be fun too, yeah.
I think probably Permit though, no?
We'll see.
We've seen a lot of people in solo queue maybe spamming some Mel bot lane. Yeah, I've seen that. That seems pretty good. Any thoughts on Mel bot lane?
It's very, very strong, I think. Freak really outdid himself. I love it. Thank you, Freak. Shout out to you. We're getting a lot of LP right now. They're nerfing it next patch. I'm not sure if that's the smart choice because it's pretty fun to play against too, I think. Like, it's no better feeling than getting your ulti reflected right back into you or being outranged the whole game.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm not being to pick any support champ because everything just gets reflected. I can't play Elise, can't play Pyke.
We'll see if the balanced team understands sarcasm. The good news for both of you, because you're enjoying it so much, is that we're on the same patch for the rest of playoffs, so you're going to get to experience Mel full throttle regardless.
Or will we?
Looks like we are a little bit delayed here getting into champ select. We'll get the picks and bans up on your screen in a moment. Anything that's particularly spicy that you want to see? It's hard, right? Because I don't want you guys to give away any special Fearless flair, anything too crazy. Elise looked, I'm going to say okay. That first dive was clean in your first game.
The first one.
First one.
Yes. Yeah.
Second one a little questionable. And then you kind of got one shot, which is my understanding of Elise in mid-game. Yeah, one time.
But that's kind of Mickey's playstyle. Like,
I see.
we are very used to it. He just goes somewhere, dies, and then the fight is just won. I don't know how it works, but it's his magic.
I'm banning the cooldowns. I'm creating space for my team.
Yes, he's an astronaut. That's how much space he's creating.
You're giving a few too much. Like, you're giving so many memes to the people at home. They'll enjoy it.
If the mail ban comes in here on 3, that'll be...
Christ, a ban. Is Mel first pick? Because you can flex it. Do you just immediate first pick it?
That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I can't talk too much about it, but it is definitely a strong champ to choose here. But there's also other priorities champs open, especially maybe Kalista's open, right?
Maybe here.
Kalista's open, Raven is already banned.
Ambessa, Vi, is strong here as well.
Yeah, true. Ambessa and Vi is also open.
Hansama goes for the Kalista.
I mean, that's obviously like a big comfort pick for Hans. G2 always is good at using Kalista, and he's also very good at it. So, that's a very interesting trade. They give Vi Ambessa for Kalista, like we talked about. It's very, very powerful combination.
Is this a worthwhile trade? Like, if you're Noah in this situation, are you okay having to play against Kalista when you see your team gets
yeah, for sure. There's many champs open. This is game 1. The most played matchup into Kalista is probably Varus, right? So it's not really a big deal. I'm more curious what G2's plan is forgiving these champions and how they're going to counter it. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Renata, obviously very good if people go into you. Pantheon, very strong early game.
Pantheon, Renata, where's the Pantheon going? I'll just say this, based on solo queue, I've seen jungle, top lane, and a little bit of support Pantheon.
Yeah.
Showmaker played it mid today as well, so it is very flexible, but usually you pick it in the jungle for the most part, especially because it's already Vi picked, right? So you don't see the enemy mid laner yet. Maybe it could be playable into Ambessa, I'm not sure, but it has a lot of flexibility, but already strong in jungle. And there's the Varus too.
Are you surprised to see Mel not just immediately snagged in first 3? Or do you think it makes sense to just wait until you have more information?
I mean, I guess it's not the greatest in
kind of
the first like 3 champs ever picked, so.
Top secret information, Drakos.
I'm sorry. Yeah, obviously, like, you guys can just refuse to answer.
He's working for G2 actually. He's like, when would you pick Mel? Under which conditions would you pick the champion right now?
But
I think it's definitely pickable as a champion, but I think, I mean, Varus was the most obvious choice for picking on 3 here, because they kind of want to outrange the Renata Kalista.
I mean, yeah,
hopefully he doesn't go on hit.
True. Poke Varus is very good against Renata, obviously, because she has a hard time starting fights. And Pantheon only has his ulti kind of to start like engages with flanks. So Poke Varus is already very strong this game, unless they get a lot of buttons in the other picks later on. And yeah, I mean, Mel is very strong, but a champ like Kalista, you can see that it has a lot of danger in lane for her, right? She doesn't have a good way to get away from champs like Nautilus, Leona, because you reflect the spell, but then you just go in yourself. Yeah. It's not what you want to be doing as a mage. So maybe that's why it wasn't picked in this scenario.
So Poppy banned away. Mel technically still open. G2 could just ban it to get rid of any extra variables, but instead they banned the Elise, I guess, to stop the dive. Neeko support, I'm still guessing here.
Still a flex pick, but
like Neeko just, everyone just picks into Renata because it's a very strong lane, because you just outrange him and Renata can't really trade back very well. I think Renata Kalista can still get some good picks. If Renata gets like an E on someone and then queues them into them, then they think they have kill pressure. But for the most part, Neeko should just have like a pretty easy lane. And then, yeah, he's a good follow-up for the bio as well.
What's strong about Neeko is that you can copy Ambessa, and then you have 2 Ambessas, which is even more scary than 1 Ambessa, if you think about it.
3 of them.
Yeah. Oh, 3 Ambessa. That's
Each one of them could press anytime, at any given moment.
Well, I appreciate your 3 Ambessa joke. What the hell is Warwick doing on my screen?
Well, in Arcane, Warwick was one of the strongest champions. He was very 1v9. So I'm not surprised that they pick it here, to be honest.
You're both this mixture of totally genius about this game and completely useless, and you're just always walking that line, and I appreciate you both.
I've definitely seen Broken Blade pull out his Warwick in solo queue, so I'm finally seeing it in competitive. That is very hype. I think he played it maybe once before in a competitive match. I'm not really sure, but it's something he has been cooking for quite a while. So let's see how it works out.
Okay, question. Talk to me early game expectations. You're watching this game at home. You're a fan of either team. What's the most important lane or the most important champion to keep your eyes on?
Probably Warwick.
I mean, bot lane I think is mega volatile too.
Yeah.
Can be a swap. Warwick is hard to gauge how easy it is to dive him, I think, because Warwick obviously is played very, very rarely. So maybe it could be an interesting swap scenario. If it's matched lanes, I think the Giants bot lane is slightly favored, but a lot of kill pressure on both sides. And top lane, I think Warwick will be very good against Ambessa, I hope.
Yeah. Who do you think wins it based on draft? Is the G2 Spice?
I think G2 kind of lacks engage in their comp and they're getting outranged by Varus, so I think draft-wise I would kind of have to give it to GIANTX, but yeah, we never know.
I mean, I think it's a very, very even draft in some ways, because also Renata is very good against what the other comp has, at least most of the champs, and they have powerful picks like the Warwick.
I'll have to cut you off there, Upset, because we are now ready for the game. But could be an even draft, keeping our eyes potentially on the Warwick top lane, or maybe a bot lane 2v2 if we're lucky enough to get it. That's enough from us here at the desk. Let's send it over to the casters to get us in to the first game.
Thank you.
Thanks, boys.
The crowd's out for G2 versus GIANTX. Thank you very much, Drakos. And what is a great debut into Fearless with a Warwick top straight from the ELO hells of all our ranked games.
So I thought an Arcane worked with Ambessa. I didn't think it was on the opposite side. Is that like...
I guess not.
Do we have to redo it? I don't really know. But like, it is your solo queue Nightmare Warwick. Because it's the barrier work in the top lane. And like, it's actually funny because we were talking backstage, Hysterics, about like, hey, things that can answer into Ambessa, you know, like the Renekton's, the kind of lane bullies who were highlighting a Volley Bear. Warwick slots into that perfectly. So it definitely just feels like, hey, I'm going to make sure I can just bully Loss out of his lane. And then I think if you go for some sort of lane swap, which it looks like G2 are going to opt into, although actually will be matched, but he should be fine under the tower because the healing is insane.
True.
The barrier makes it really difficult to dive him, so in theory, he can hold up in a lane swap as well.
Plus, he does extra bonus magic damage as well, so if you misplay the lane dive, it gets real dicey real fast. Remember, below his 50% max health, that's when he heals for the huge chunk, right? That's what makes it so hard. So a really good point you bring up, Dagda, as G2 get early vision in. SewMond starts on these Raptors. Top laners are going to meet, though, so for G2, reading this is nice because they get their 2v2 that they want. They get the 1v1 that you just mentioned, should be a living hell.
Yeah, I'm curious what the path is going to be now for SewMond, though, because he has stolen Raptors, will actually go across the red as well, so could try and defend his own red if he wants to, because he should have, like, push on bot lane and Warwick can start to come across. You can see already Broken Blade doing a good job of bullying out, but looks like actually Jungler's going to meet on the top side of the jungle, and the bot lane is coming. SewMond's out, and he should be able to get away with this. Yeah, Closer gambled on being able to contest the red, but I think SewMond now can kind of protect his top side and shift to bot lane and get all 3 quadrants.
I mean, it's so big as well, and the Pantheon snowballs out of control. Really curious to watch the build here, Dagda, because as they were kind of talking on desk, they're saying like, yeah, Showmaker played at mid, but we've seen Doinby also play at mid with things like Stride Breaker and then full tank. In jungle, it's usually been that Bruiser AD build. But let's see what SewMond's variation is. As he goes back to his side of the jungle, has 5 more camps to clear. And as we already said, it's going to be ahead in tempo here, rushing to his 6 to get faster on the map.
Yeah, I think the pressure Jackies has in mid, though, may open up a window where he can start to try and look for invades, but he is just going to move back over towards his blue. But yeah, I think Broken Blade is just so far ahead in this matchup that it makes it very difficult to try and answer. So at the moment, SewMond off to a great start, and Pantheon, definitely a champion that likes to go for these sort of dives, like use his early strength. Sorry, not early dives, early ganks, to use that early strength to his advantage in trying to get his lane snowballing. So I'm curious exactly where he wants to put that attention. I imagine it is around Hansama and Labrov, but we'll have to see.
Do you want some Warwick stats while we watch out for this 2v2 to play up in top side? As just a bit of a pierce. Labrov handshake forces a flash from Jun. The power of Kalista Renata. Kalista always a red side ban, by the way. Kind of seeing the reasons why. Dagda, my stats were going to be, you know, when he's below 25% max health, that's when he gets 250% extra healing. So
is that all?
I mean, yeah, Broken Blade right now, even just autoing, he's getting massive. All he needs to do is pull him into the jaws of the beast, looking for the fear, but there's the Vault Breaker. Healed up the fear. Comes in clutch. That 1 second used well as SewMond here to stop the play going further.
Nice job from Closer, though, to actually get some pressure down in this bottom lane. Lot should be able to crash this, making sure that it's going to actually hit the tower. Closer going to start to move in. That red buff is available, but looks like he doesn't want to try and go for it. Instead, he's just going to move over towards the Scuttle Crab, but at least relieving some pressure from Lot so you can actually get a reset in isn't the end of the world, although, yeah, there it goes. Just back to base.
Both junglers being very active in the early game, though, already, you know, getting a couple of summoners out, and the barrier being down for Broken Blade. Going to be something here. And just a quick reminder, I feel like both of these guys, as my touchscreen doesn't want to work today, both of these guys have been pretty crucial to how the team functions, right? Coming over from KC, Closer, you can say exactly that. SewMond debuting on G2 has kind of had to be that when he's filling in for Yike.
Yeah, and especially when we saw these two go head-to-head the last time, it was SewMond who came out on top, right? He was doing a good job of playing around that bottom side of the map, punishing Noah and Jun when they overextended in the lane, and finding those quick early kills that allowed G2 to snowball the game. So this is why I think it's such a close matchup that we have to watch. But at the moment, I mean, camp advantage for SewMond, but Closer has kind of blown some of those early summoner spells to give his laners a bit of help. So we'll have to see exactly what's going to happen on this top side, because it looks like that's where the next bit of a scuttle is going to happen.
It's interesting, though. I like, scuttle, scuffle, whichever one it may be. It seems like scuttle for SewMond at the very least. It's 55 seconds till those grubs spawn up in top, so a little bit early here for junglers to be here, but it does feel like the clear pathway down for SewMond as he gets towards level 6. Are going to be these top 2 camps available. Dagda, I want to mention here in this early game that's really been focused about this Wolf, that for G2, he's not the only one really suffering from success right now. Not only SewMond as well. This 2v2 up by 250 gold. Bit of a CS lead brewing. The natural lanes everywhere outside of mid feels pretty good right now for G2's early game state.
Yeah, and I mean, look, Hansam and Labrov have actually been doing relatively okay in the 2v2 and trying to trade. It's been Noah and Jun who have got caught out a couple of times trying to go that bit too aggressive. So at least putting a bit of a backstep on themselves to make sure they're not getting caught out. And Labrov is doing a good job of just trading with the shield. And there's not really much they can do right now. Looks like Dragon, kind of a lot of attention on that bottom side of the map, but I wouldn't be surprised if G2 are going to end up looking more for the Void Grub trade in this sort of situation.
Well, closer now spotted out on the Dragon. Maybe they're just thinking, yeah, that's exactly what's going to be done from GIANTX's side. By the way, quick stat from our production team as Broken Blade gets slapped in the face. Hang on a minute. Wait, he's got infinite duress. It's a public execution, but Broken Blade, doggy got bite. And remember, he's going to heal this up. He gets so much healing back. Don't be fooled when he has low numbers like that, especially with Phage.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous for a lot there. I wasn't sure if Broken Blade was just going to open up with the infinite duress, but instead backs away. SewMond spots out that they're on the Dragon, just trying to deny that away. And it looks like Closer then is actually going to be the one who goes top. So G2 at the moment playing very much a kind of contain GIANTX game at the moment, especially when it comes to SewMond, stopping them from getting the Dragon, stopping them from getting all their camps, just trying to put GIANTX in the back foot a little bit.
Now that Sato was alluring to, again, ladies and gentlemen at home, I know it's been very chaotic, but you don't see this dog every day. In fact, the last time you saw this dog top was Splice Wonder in 2017, and it was against Odoamne on Shen. Now, Odo's, you know, sometimes he's a bit of the goat, right? Did he win that game? That's the only question I have. Odo won. Oh my God, I bet he's saying it backstage. You know, I actually won that game. That was a bad Odo impression, I'm sorry. Well, Dragon goes down, SewMond. He's thinking about if he can get in as Broken Blade with that infinite duress holds onto his mark up to the turret. He wants the plating first. He gets that flee away. Jaws of the Beast help out, and the audience starts howling as Broken Blade pops the barrier. He just doesn't have enough damage yet to do anything about it.
Yeah, not quite. Look, Broken Blade's trying to bring back Darien of old here from Moscow 5, but not quite able to make it work. But still, he's getting the pressure that he wants, right? Like, you're getting the CS leads, and I think you need to here, because eventually Ambessa will outscale. Warwick is great early, but once you stop having enough healing and you don't have enough damage to just out-sustain any of that reciprocal damage, you're in a lot of trouble. So as long as you can keep Ambessa down, you're in a good spot. But GIANTX still getting to trade on the opposite side of the map. And you don't actually kill Lost, he just will lose out on a little bit of that teleport and a bit more CS.
You know, I think Grub's in this meta as well. Such a good advantage, right? Souls are getting later. We're seeing out-of-con fights. We're seeing Souls not picked up as often. Grubs have just still been top tier, as even though we're in 15.3 in the new patch, sorry, S1.3, we still see Grubs still being so damn strong. So that's going to be the long-term trade for GIANTX, as you said.
I think especially when there's so many objectives, having that extra little bit of firepower when it comes towards trading on the map and cross-mapping is really important. But we'll have to see how G2 get to use it. At the moment, you're kind of just seeing, hey, we're playing through strong solo lanes, both in Hansama and Broken Blade, but they kind of need to get a bit more done. Like, again, their top jungle is going to fall off relatively hard, and so I'm kind of waiting to see how they want to operate here. Because, like, if Broken Blade is going into these fights, his targets are Jun, who's going to have ult, going to have a lot of lockdown, Jackie's who's going to be able to ult away from him, Noah, who has good lockdown as well, so it does become kind of difficult for both SewMond and Broken Blade to find targets in fights as this goes on.
I mean, again, there seems to be a lot that has to be done in the early stages of this game to really get them moving with the comp as well. Broken Blade's trading still only with a Phage, and going to see what he builds first item. Dagda might be a stride breaker here, get ultimate push here for Broken Blade as he just stands in the face of Closer and starts trading out. Infinite Duress is up and available yet again, and SewMond, remember, with that Grand Starfall, can join in anytime, anywhere. So that's why right now for Broken Blade, he keeps hovering, looking for an angle as what he can find with that CC ulti. Are you telling me, thinking it's going to be something else?
I'm going to wait and see. I'm going to wait and see.
I saw your cheeky look at the items as there we go, there's the Starfall. The Duress follows up as well. The dog's in with a public execution. But in the end, down goes Lot for first blood.
I'm just loving the crowd howling. That was class. But yeah, nicely done. And that's kind of the combo that they were looking to have that payoff for. And it's great because you can see Closer just wanted to get into that bottom side to make sure that Lot was going to be able to push in that wave. But nice response from G2 and getting that early kill for themselves.
With the push from Broken Blade as well, with Lot not having TP, it's going to deny some minions. I would say that if I wasn't looking at Noah, who's now capturing the bottom side wave, with top being a nice standstill for Lot to move towards. Labrov face checking no, and Fog of War ain't good. He's going to be charmed up and instantly destroyed. Ahri Vi, a common duo for those reasons.
Nice pick by GIANTX. Oh, hang on, SewMond. Might be able to get on to close. You got Kalista moving down.
The flash is burned, but Hansama's ready and receiving. Lot has joined in, but he just used his ulti in the previous fight as Hans now chases up. Lot might be in trouble. That Ren means they're slowed to buggery, and SewMond now with another stop under turret will help out as Hans runs in, flashes for the Rend. That's your mama you're talking to.
I mean, this may not be over, though. You've still got another wave coming. Closer, trying to clear it out before it can hit the wave. SewMond got a tank.
He's low, SewMond. Not going to find Hansama, or rather, other way around. SewMond is looking for closer, now resets in. Easy kill. G2 are playing with them, Dagda. They're playing with the meat.
They knew that the wave was coming, so Closer was like, look, I'm kind of damned if I do, damned if I don't. And now, Caps going for the trade. Jackie's has no ult.
You're right, he used it before. Caps in a 1v1, unheard of with the Azir, but he's just ordering him down to death. G2 have come and ignited.
It has been a slaughter for GIANTX in the last couple of moments. Bottom dies, top goes down, and mid lane to boot. G2 looking angry in this next few phases.
Through multiple lanes, it's now falling apart. The early game that, if you look at stats for G2, the early game has been fantastic. Some of the best early game stats, while you and I were talking backstage, they weren't the best early game team, let's be real, on what we saw from G2's evidence. But at least just stats-wise tell the story of like some of the blood and some of the misery they inflict.
But the funny thing was, the biggest criticism we had at G2 was, hey, we wanted simple to execute compositions. Your tank top, your like damage coming from your bottom and your mid, and then you kind of got that follow-up engage from SewMond and Labrov generally on something that's a bit more engaged focused, but that's not what we're seeing. They've gone for like hyper early aggression that needs to snowball, putting pressure onto themselves, but this time around they're executing, and I think it's kind of shown the growth G2 have had throughout this split, from going from, hey, you know, a new team replacing two of the most important roles on the team to now looking like a bit of a brick house that you try and blow over here.
And it's nice again when you see some of these strong units moving in. Closer has to be careful. It's a good handshake back. SewMond's here, and again, as he holds Closer in place, he does some good damage with that build-up of the Martial Steel. That's definitely not the right name. We're just going to stick with it.
It's awful. I was watching Broken Blade to see what he was up to anyway, because he's moving down, but there's the engage from John.
Oh, it's set up as well. Fate's Call going to be used too, but it's a double knock-up into the air. But GX had this in the bag. Even with the ulti later out from Labrov, it's there as SewMond gets launched up, and in goes Jackie's. 3 quick kills. GIANTX find one opening.
Brilliant stuff from John. G2 thought they'd be able to control the river, but Jun makes them pay for it. Broken Blade had started to walk down. He isn't playing with that TP, so was trying to cover for that play on the bottom side, but GIANTX come alive and answer back.
Well, with that opening, it's going to be first Dragon here for GIANTX, but trading back is big, especially when grubs are up. We might see a fight around that as Dagda. First, we're going to look at this fight because G2 walked in the river here, and Pop Blossom was their enemy.
Yeah, just not respecting that Jun had that flash up and available. And also, you can see, this is GIANTX understanding, hey, we have that teleport advantage. Let's try and play for these big moments where we can force G2 around the map. And the second they saw that Warwick was open in mid, they just knew they had that moment to get down. And you see SewMond not too happy with that series of events.
Not at all. Note that for G2, they didn't have the Wolf involved, but Ambessa in the end, the perfect setup for them. We come back with the reset, and G2 started up the grubs already. And with Broken Blade having that push that runs into Lot now, it means that it's just going to be grub o'clock. Not stolen there from Noah as he sent out the piercing arrow, but SewMond in the end. We'll clean this out. It'll be 3 grubs for 3 grubs. And we still don't have a decider here on the feats of strength in the early game.
Yeah, I think, though, this is where, from this position, GIANTX have really gotten the tempo back in their favor now. They can start to look for pushes on waves. You're starting to get the items that you need to on towards like Noah to be able to test the wave against Hansama, especially if you start to see set him up in mid lane at the moment. So I think this is where GIANTX now can start to be a little bit more creative. They may just wait to try and use the TP advantages they have. So maybe they wait 2.5 minutes again before they have that TP for loss, and then they make the plays, but they definitely should be in a position to begin moving around the map better than they have in the early stages.
His gold was dead even. Well, pretty much 1,000 gold. What he's scoffing at, really. You know, Jackie's in a decent spot. Noah, as we, you know, we're all celebrating at home for the time being. Noah's almost towards his second item, as this poke Varus too. Gold even between 80 carries. The only big leads right now are between jungle and top, as that stride breaker is now finally complete. So there's a lot more wave push here for Broken Blade.
See, the biggest problem for G2 right now is the fact that you were pointing out Noah, he now has good mid push, which means that it's opening up Jun to roam like this with Closer. The thing that GIANTX are most fearful of is the ultimate from SewMond though, which can answer very quickly. So essentially what they're hoping is at some point, Hans Sama opens up mid and answers into Noah's push. GX should be able to win that push and then send all 4 members down to that bottom side of the map to look for some sort of big play on the dive. But we'll have to see if they're going to be able to get it. Because again, if they ever misjudge how many people are on the map for G2, SewMond can show up at a moment's notice and it all go sideways.
Well, around top, that's the potential for this to set up. Perfect execution, buffered actually behind Broken Blade. Infinite Duress, meanwhile, the Primal Howl is looking for the fear, and it misses. Good spacing there as the adaptation sets them up, but Jaws to the beast heals up. For the time being, Broken Blade flashes, wants to get distance, gets the flash out, another Jaws to the beast! He's healed up, he's bailed out, but Doggy gonna die as GIANTX still find the reset in the end and take him down.
He survived for so long, but couldn't quite get it across the finish line. Now Lot doesn't quite have that TP available, so despite Broken Blade going down, looks like it'll actually be the Rift Tower that goes to G2 because of the amount of time he bought.
Everything used in the kitchen sink as well. At least nice for GIANTX to get some more gold as Caps might be in a bit of trouble. Noah's coming down. Chains Corruption are up and available. Caps waiting for it. Flashes out now eventually, but Noah matches as well. The old Fnatic AD carry has his number as well as he's got all the stacks up and available. Caps is dead meat. Over to Noah. A lot of gold going over, and they commit hard to the bot lane.
Good job by Noah. Realizes here, look, I don't need to be on that top half of the map. Let's make the play towards Jackies. They kill off Caps. They get this first tower as well. And now it looks like Lot going to try and somewhat keep control on the top side, but I think that tower, yeah, is going to be matched by G2 there.
I think in the end, it's actually G2 who, by the way, because of objectives, get it as, hang on, Dagda, what's that smell? Jackies has gotten low, but Broken Blade doesn't know there's another foe in his way. He wants to send him away. He infinite duresses, but charmed out. Broken Blade ain't doing the damage here on the side, and GIANTX keep overwhelming him.
Yeah, and this is the problem. When you are not able to just out-sustain that DPS, the Warwick kind of just becomes dead weight. And unfortunately for BB, GIANTX have consistently found multi-man opportunities on him in side lanes. And it's now starting to cost G2 a little bit. The gold is still even for GIANTX, but it's about opening up moments for Lot to start to get some much-needed CS back, get some of that experience that he needs, and find a bit of respite on the map.
But we look at GIANTX and we look at the positives here in this game. You know, Noah getting gold before, but also Jackie's just really encircling this early game. Transitioning to mid, it's now a 2-item Ahri, and albeit a little bit cheaper here with Malignance. Jackie's is in a good spot. We just need to see Jackie's, I guess, how am I going to say this, Dagda? Not get caught out in the mid game as he's kind of known for, especially last year he was. Like, Jackie's has to keep it together because for GIANTX, right now they're playing with fire when he's strong.
But the thing is, they've already got their lanes in position. They push in onto this top side, which lets them then drift this Ambessa down into the mid lane, which is then setting up perfectly for the Dragon. And they've even got some of this like deep wards that are down as well, that are making it nearly impossible there for G2 to contest. So GIANTX, this is actually a bit of a step up. One of my biggest gripes with GIANTX has been their inability to play the map in their favor and trying to keep themselves pushing their advantages. But this is a good move. Now they just need to make sure Ambessa can get back into that top side, and that's why they've sent Jun up here as well.
It's a good shield vault coming through, and the blast cone helps out so Lot doesn't get caught out any further. Broken Blade is pushing this turret, and this is what 3 grubs are going to help do, is Herald will also give them a little push in the right direction. For G2, they're committing to swapping sides, and Caps is just walking ever so precariously up to that bot lane wave. Well, G2 have already done the damage first. Herald in the way of the turret, but not going to crash immediately. It's an escape route for Broken Blade.
Yeah, I thought they'd commit the TP from Lost to defend that top lane turret. Like, the objective is down. You've got 5 minutes until Baron's up. Like, you don't... Yes, Adacon's up in 20 seconds, but I don't think you're really playing for that in the next little bit. So I think they could have tried to play for defending that top lane turret, but now, instead, they're TPing onto this wave with Jackies. Looks like they're...
For Adacon, I guess.
Yeah, but I think it's a little bit early for them. Like, the problem is if you ever TP Lot away now from that top side, you can just trade it for an inhibitor turret. And that's really where G2 are going to start to come alive if Broken Blade is able to force 1v1s on those side lanes, and that's their best way to try and go about it.
Well, using the deep vision in the meantime, at least for GIANTX, waiting to see if G2 make that crucial mistake. But G2 are being very reserved right now, and you have to give them the faith of experience here in this game, that they're not just walking into this fog of war. They say, hey, bro, the night is dark and full of terrors. Stepping out there is a danger.
But it's also not full of objectives. There's no reason to do it. So they're just like, cool, we'll chill. Like, we don't need to get this vision right now. What we need to do is send Cap stop so he can collect that wave, start to create pressure, cause issues for GIANTX where they have to go and deal with them.
Like, the red lady is crazy. Why challenge her? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, there's no point.
I said exactly. I have no idea.
No, you're exactly right, Dagda. Yeah, Hansa's caught out. There's no way to react. The problem with GIANTX's comp as a Kalista, there's so many buttons that just say no.
And that was a pretty resounding one as well. And you can see Ambessa catching that wave from Cops on that top side, so GIANTX now just get to fall back over towards this. So you've got the TP for Lot, you've got TP for Caps, but no AD carry makes this pretty much impossible to try and contest. Caps is resetting. I think he'll have his Zhonya's completed, which could be huge in this fight, but it's still 4v5.
If Artican gets them low enough, Broken Blade will have himself a blood hunt. Remembering as well, he'll just sprint towards whoever's lowest as Artican's going to reset. Annoying resets that it stops for GIANTX as well.
Yeah, it did get the TP from Caps. Doesn't have his Zhonya's quite completed yet. Was just a little short on that. So does mean that for G2, still investing more resources to deal with it. Loss again, getting time to farm up. And this was what the entire comp for, well, top side for G2 was built around, was denying this Ambessa, not letting her scale, not letting her get time. But because they haven't really found enough to put this Ambessa behind, Lot is still going to be very relevant in these fights. Broken Blade is falling further behind just relative to the champions in this game.
Yeah.
And I think GIANTX now, as long as they're able to find the moments to play off of pushing mid into sides, should be able to keep G2 at arm's distance and close out this game.
That Ambessa also, by the way, close to the Black Cleaver here in this game, and that's when those cooldowns become a little bit more sillier, and the ability to shred armor becomes so easy too. Jun just looking for some poke, see what he can do. The same can be said of Noah as GIANTX still holding the terrain down on the bottom side of the map right now. Vision is getting darker and darker again for G2.
But I think the mistake is still like, well, it's gone dark now, but moving Lot down.
Yep.
Lot has the TP advantage. You know there's no teleport on G2. You should be creating pressure elsewhere in the map, especially with this Dragon advantage. But now you're just letting G2 defend a potential Dragon, defend a potential Ambessa. Artican, but Ambessa now is only moving towards that top side. So this is where G2 may need to just call the bluff and go for the engage.
Maybe see if they can find anything off mid, but Noah, as he positions here, I mean, going to be looking for the back end of the wave. He's got 2 items, so this Varus can instantly clear. As G2 try and threaten him off best they can, but Edge of Night makes things a little bit harder, as at least moving up is a success for now, but Caps jumps up, has to jump away. Hansama going to get his time, and mid is now open. Okay, the map becomes a little bit more open with it too.
Yeah, they didn't know where Broken Blade was, so they couldn't actually commit to fully defending that. Plus, Jackie's been pushing on bot. Now, Broken Blade shows on top side.
Oh, but look, Caps is coming up as well. You've got to run, Lot! The Infinite Duress is up and available, as you can see Lot is just trying to get out now using the public execution because there was no other way. Infinite Duress flushed away from as well. And as I said, Caps is coming. He ran all the way up from mid as he jumps in, looking for his time in the sun. His ult's still there with the flash available, but they're just poking him down. Broken Blade is chasing with his blood hunt. His jaws close, and with that, Lot's life too.
Jackie should be able to get this top lane tower, though. They want to try and look for more good handshake.
Dagda
Great
cheeks.
cleanse.
Yeah, really good one as well.
Labrov. I mean, the handshake, then the immediate Mikhail's Crucible on towards SewMond, getting locked up by the Chains of Corruption as well. So Labrov getting some fancy hands there and making it look easy. So making them, helping them get out, but still for GIANTX, they will get that bottom lane turret. Still in a position now to get this 3rd Dragon of the game. Like Chemtech, so on this patch was buffed as well. Like you get the 13% reduced damage now instead, but it's like, it's still nice, but I don't think it's the end of the world in the grand scheme of things.
By the way, sorry, I'm just loving that the whole breaker second has come through and Broken Blade is just going to be perma side laning this game. Remember, again, if people don't know Hullbreaker, you don't have to perma side lane anymore. There's not a disadvantage to having it and being grouped up with your team. But damage to turrets, every 5th attack or 6th attack is like, yeah, nuts. There's G2 trying to leverage that pressure. Dagda, they're pushing GIANTX out of river here because Dragons now spawn.
But it's a big wave on top side as well. So as long as G2 are able to keep them here, they're going to be happy. You're going to lose a wave top. You're going to lose your bot lane tower. And again, GIANTX, they're just kind of being run around the map. This has kind of been the G2 special.
Yeah.
What we saw from the last year was missing at the start of the split, but it's coming back in leaps and bounds.
Noah gets mid lane turret. Okay. As we're still even, I'm just waiting to see if G2 commit onto Lot, but he's too spinny, he's too movie. Gets on out, Drake count step, makes it easy work as Broken Blade is just looking to see what he can take next. G2 thinking about who they can pick off here, Dagda, or GIANTX might be thinking the same thing.
Yeah, they're trying to spot out where Cops is. We'll just end up spotting him now with the clone. So going to see this, okay, we need to back away. We don't want to enter in towards River, because again, Adakon is there, but I think you can't just push in this mid wave with Jackie. So GIANTX playing for the wave on bot, or mid, whereas the bot wave is what G2 are trying to go for.
In fact, they're still here. They're just committing. They're being so patient. GIANTX looking this time to reset as well, as Hansama just going to be taken away with the Rent. And Adakon, I mean, the disrespect is also... There's a lot more G2 vision in the river. Teleport's going to have to be burned, Dagda. Adakon started with a Kalista.
Yeah, Closer trying to get in. They don't have vision. Labrov playing bouncer here.
But how far can he go? SewMond trying to do the same thing. Jackie flashes in, but he gets stolen up as the Aegis sent on out. Broken Blade zones off Lot. A lot of spears in the Adakon that's going to be reset here as GIANTX group is 5.
Yeah, still though, they haven't actually reset it. GIANTX, can they actually get the steal here?
Out, in, out, in, out. Broken Blade from the back end. The Infinite Direct sent in with the pop blossom from John! John sets it up, but Hansama finds Lot in the back end, and G2 are now trying to play front to back as Adakon is taken by GIANTX. Their window in the sun is here. Only one withdrawal for now as G2 still trying to fight fire with Varus. Broken Blade is hitting a clone. Another reset, another bite as Broken Blade left alive. Caps ultis in to save his own life, and in the jaws again. Broken Blade cleans them all up, and Adakon is wiped.
Adakon is gone, but it's G2 still get to stand for that little bit. The timers were changed. 15 seconds is a little bit of a long time to get back, but I don't think it's long enough. GIANTX, they're going to go back onto the map, and they're streamlining straight for that Baron.
If you don't burst the Warwick, he just doesn't die,
No.
Dagda.
I mean, you have to turn and actually look at him. Like, you have to be the focus to take him down, but what can Caps and Broken Blade do? You've no ultimates available against 5 members of GIANTX. Lot has that TP to get in. Closer goes to start, but G2, they're back on the map.
Well, for Broken Blade, he's skirting around the outskirts because right now he wants to buy some time. As you said, not much available for G2. Time is their friend.
But that's the big change. The Adakon, the 5.5 to 15 seconds makes you way slower coming out of the base. And this is what you get. You can't just rush these objectives off the back of it. So G2, they get to hold on. GIANTX can't start at loss. Still pushing in that bot wave. Looks like instead they're going to try and create a point of pressure on that bottom half and force G2 to answer.
Well, for Jackies, he's isolated though. He's isolated, and that gives SewMond a free target. There's a Spirit Rush in and out, but he doesn't land the poke as he returns. For G2, they get another ulti.
You still need to move down towards that bottom side. Broken Blade's going to push in on top. I'm actually curious if this is how SewMond is now going to make use of this Pantheon, where he almost becomes that side lane pressure, especially since you don't have that TP on Caps, but G2 still hovering, still trying to draw GIANTX in. Again, like, there's no real pressure. Like, I think Lot should just stay on this bottom wave. They don't have the immediate trigger pull here for G2. Like, you heard both Upset and Mickey kind of say
from the skies, he descends down. SewMond is going to be tagged up with the pop blossom, but no one from GIANTX are there. SewMond's angle. That guy is from the stars.
He manages to pick off Neeko. Like, you should be able to move over, but again, I think GIANTX kind of fumbling a little bit here. Now G2 setting up on towards this Baron. You still have a lot of members of GIANTX available, though. The poke is real.
Oh, great point, Dagda. I was going to say, let's see how that poke affects them right. G2 are taking heaps of damage, and I'm watching towards no one else. Broken Blade tanks it up. Chain to Corruption. He heals out. Jaws of the Beast. He autos, but now he's down. The burst finally utilizes Caps ulti. Sends away Lot. Looking for the front to back. It's G2 have to get out with the Baron. Caps knows it's doomed. GIANTX know it's gloom. And SewMond, he's looking for something else in the brush as he finds a trade kill onto Noah now. The poke Varus needs his cooldowns available. SewMond jumps in, gets the cleanse, an auto. The Aegis. No way! And the martial poise that comes out of this wilderness, man.
You cannot take down this Pantheon, SewMond. That was sick. Getting even the Q there to make sure that he can get that W with the extra procs on that auto attack, just to make sure he can finish him off. But here, you see Baron taken. They turn on towards Broken Blade and finish him off immediately. But the Jackies is in the back. They get down Hansama, but you're still getting Caps in a good amount of damage. But as everyone starts to chase on, it becomes eyes on SewMond. Jackies, I think, yeah, doesn't quite finish, but watch SewMond here. So gets the stun here. Or sorry, goes into the bush here.
Yep.
Manages to get the Q. It doesn't even matter, actually. I thought it was to get his passive there. But actually, yeah, so there. Uses the Q so that then he can get the... uses the Q so he can stack up the passives. So then when he gets to the E rotation again, he has the empowered E to keep himself alive. So nicely played there by SewMond.
That final Q as well, that extra damage that comes from the Mortal Will and the Comet Spear. insane buff of damage as well as the SewMond outplaying that fight makes it so much different. 2 Barons exit the fight as Broken Blade only onto a clone. He finds himself with his jaws once again. Moves back to the side, Waves continues to push, and remember, while the top laner may not have the Baron, it's Caps, it's SewMond who can utilize it here. Caps sitting top, and SewMond now helping out mid.
So I was just double checking. Yeah, so wait, when you get the Empowered E, you get a burst of armor and magic resist, which is the difference maker there. So really well played by SewMond to keep himself topped up. So now G2, off the back of that, they don't really have a huge amount of Barons left to move around the map, but they still are getting control back in this game. And you can even see for Caps going for the Riftmaker, so a little bit of a tankier build. They kind of know, look, with these 3 items, you can still deal a ton of damage, but a little bit safer on a side lane play. A Broken Blade doesn't really care about damage.
Doesn't. I mean, he sets up his Primal Howl, sends it out. Any fear there can turn around with SewMond. Closer jumps in once again, but SewMond has his ulti, that Grand Starfall, back up and available. The range is massive as well, guys. From lane to lane, he can jump. It's never a solo lane here for Broken Blade, no matter how fast SewMond is. Where is the dog? Let out the beast. The audience have it in them.
NX are still looking here. Jun has flash.
Good handshake.
Have to be a little careful. Like, you are still pretty short ranged as G2, so you can't fully commit to this, especially with Caps on top side. Like, you have double TP for both mid laners, so they can't answer, but Jackie's getting a decent trade. Looks like G2 going to be forced back. Still 3 minutes until Dragon Soul. Dragon Soul for G2. 2.5 until Baron. So I think G2 is just play it safe. See if you can get a bit more of this pressure or damage onto towers, but don't need to overextend.
It does feel like we're ramping up to that last fight. Again, I'm proud that GIANTX, coming into this, a lot of people would have, favorites on G2, but you got to remember that GIANTX started the season 3-0, and while they got a bit of a reality check with teams ramping up, and I think GIANTX slowing down, I think it was also, Molecule, shout out to our stats guy behind the scenes, who did so much work in showing us how situations flipped from week 1 to week 3, GIANTX to G2, obviously G2 finishing near top of the table, was that we had this, GIANTX that ramped down, G2 that ramped up, but it doesn't take away from the fact that GIANTX still had such an explosive start and a better start than a lot of people thought for the split.
Yeah, GIANTX definitely had a really good split, and I think a lot of that pressure did come from Closer and Noah Jun were popping off as well. And we have seen their team fights be great, but the problem is kind of in games like this, which are slower paced and starting to drag, and how do you play on the map? This is where, unfortunately, not having a lot of that veterancy can come back to hurt you. As
infinite duress under turret, and remember the Grand Starfall, he's always there! Into the jaws once more! The Howl unleashes, and the fear is immeasurable.
I did not think this was going to be as stupid a combo as it is. This is insane. I don't know, infinite duress, infinite starfall. I don't know what we're supposed to call this one, but it is working out wonderfully for G2. And again, there's not much pressure on the map for GIANTX. They haven't been able to answer or push out the waves in the way they want.
Broken Blade finally getting that turret makes things a little bit more difficult as well, and he's just gone back. He's gotten the extra upgraded boots thanks to the fleet, whatever the feet are. And now, 3 items. He had that before, but he's building towards what? Is that going to become a Trinity Force? What's that turning into, Dagda? I wonder. Oh, fresh meat.
You have fun, Jake, are you?
Love Warwick.
I know what champion you're going to play for the rest of this week.
Every time I think of Warwick, I just think of, my fighting Urukai. I just think of, Saruman's army. Don't you think if there is a champion that's closest to an Urukai, it is Warwick? What other champion is there?
Munda?
No. No, Mundo's like Smeagol. If he was purple.
If he was just buff, yeah.
Yeah. I do not think Mundo would be an Urukai. I thought of that and I'm like, nah, he's too silly. Especially corporate Mundo. One Urukai goes and starts at
someone has to do the finances in the Urukai army, alright? Someone's got to be the accountant.
We've got to stop charging at the wall. It's costing us.
You pulled how many of them out of the mud? We've only got enough for 6.
Why did you charge the gates? Guys, we told you, look to the east. Anyone who doesn't know Lord of the Rings right now is like, what the hell is an Uruk-hai? The G2 teleport's going to be committed. It's into Fog of War, and GIANTX are walking right into it. Again, the setup stun is there from SewMond. It's perfect execution denied. Pop Blossom is good, but Caps went golden. He was able to space out as a bailout. Onto Hansama works! He revives, does enough damage as GIANTX ran into the fray, and they will not be seeing the light of day. Closer escapes while two of his solo laners are now dead, and Broken Blade, oh, he can smell it again. He chases, he sends out Closer while Baron now stands up, but it's Soul that G2 will be looking after today.
That might have been one of the most high-value Zhonyas I have seen in a long while.
True.
The fact that Caps gets rid of the public execution, dodges the Neeko ultimate as well, and then is able to slide and glide his way out was picture perfect. And the reason G2 still had a fighting chance in that one, because Hansama didn't last very long, but you get to see it here.
Break it down.
Like, the second you get it, this pink ward is doing a ton of work, because it means you actually can't really see what's happening. And as lock goes in, they assume, hey, this is hit, because Caps gets charmed, which is why Jun goes through, but Caps manages to then flash away. Hansama will go down, but you've still got this Azir who's in a perfect spot to get a tonnage damage off, because everyone has to try and play into his soldiers. It's just really well done, and unfortunately, you just don't have enough consistent DPS in this GIANTX roster to kind of deal with some of these low health bars. Like Warwick, if you don't burst them out, is getting to heal back up because your poke Varus and your Ahri isn't all that all in.
The flash charm at melee range, so he doesn't have the Zhonyas this time.
The tower! The tower!
Azir turret, that seems fair. Yeah, let's make it do the same. Infinite direct flash though, and the Grand Starfall combo returns. The Pop Blossom denied, and Broken Blade will not be denied as the ult from Lot to get on out the perfect execution, rather public version. Sends G2 towards the left. That's where the Baron's sitting and waiting, and GIANTX don't have two members.
No, but they do still have Closer, so G2 will need to deal with this Vi. Keep Closer out of the pit is now the name of the game. Maybe a Baron steal could claw this game back for GIANTX, but it is a long, long road back as G2. I mean, Lot's in a decent position here.
Yeah, but Labrov has his hostile takeover. That's what I'm worried about. In front of three people, Edge of Night comes up not a moment too soon. As for GIANTX, the turn has begun. There it is, hostile takeover is into the back line onto Hansama. It's a nice oldie, but Closer doesn't have the follow-up he needs. Broken Blade gets on low, but he needs to get his jaws sunken in as GIANTX zone on out, and there we go. The healing comes through as Chemtech Soul must be getting a hell of a lot of value right now. GX back away, not going to take that 4v2, but they stop the Baron from the brink of despair.
They do lose Closer, but the TP from Jackies as well into mid lane means that G2 have to back it off, but still, they are keeping command of this game. That was so close, but it's right, it's like the value from this Chemtech Soul when you are just healing for so much in these fights, or Labrov is getting your little bit of extra time, is just huge. And now G2, they're stepping back up. They know there's no jungler. Do they feel confident to just take this? Jun doesn't have flash just available yet, but if GIANTX could buy some time, that could maybe be the engage they're looking for.
How much poke can Noah send out? Hail of arrows after arrows after arrows. Jun, you're telling me Dagda doesn't have the flash available, but Noah has the arrow in the quiver for the steal! Over, no! An attempt so boldly made. Broken Blade infinite duress into a wall, but they get the Baron. Second Baron of the game is down, but this time G2 hold it on all fight.
But the problem now for GIANTX is that G2 have this for essentially 3 minutes, which is just in time with Elder. G2 will get to keep this pressure up with the Baron buff and then fall back in towards that Elder pit, and you're trying to go in towards Broken Blade, SewMond, Labrov even with these big ultimates in those corridors is going to get you a ton of value. GIANTX, they need to find some pick, they need to find some miracle if they hope to keep G2 at bay.
It's been a trialing game for G2, and for GIANTX, big props so far. For staying in this, even when they're down in deficit, they too deserve some respect. 43k damage from Noah. And again, we talked a lot about Noah coming into this and how he's big, but right now we're going to talk about Jackies and how he's feeling small. Caught out. Jackies, this has happened before. You've had some great moments, but now you're dead for 62 seconds.
Yeah, Jackies has been hackied, and now he's kind of in a bit of trouble because
not hackies.
Broken Blade actually, this could be the pick.
It's on to Warwick though, he can buy some time. Remember, he's got Terminus, he needs to auto-attack everything in the kitchen sink used though. Pop Blossom has SewMond joined in. He now flashes over. He's poked out, but for G2, they've got pressure down bot.
They're still looking for that bot lane tower. GIANTX are now running back as quickly as they can to try and protect this bottom side, but it's gone. Caps is just keeping them at bay, and I mean, how much further did G2 want to go?
Can you end? Question mark.
I don't think they
so.
can.
No.
I think they're just trying to force GIANTX back, but...
SewMond is going in with no health bar. He gets himself a nice little proc of his item, heals up to half. Hunsama's still attacking the turrets because GIANTX are not going in. They used all their buttons. They used all their buttons on the Wolf. So now set up with a hostile takeover. They've just taken down 2 Nexus turrets. G2 have an open Nexus, but will not take it yet. Close is looking for a flank. G2 running for their lives. The run out includes the follow-up from the rest of GIANTX, but G2 are already too far away. And they just called the bluff that there was no way for GIANTX to go in.
Hansama actually stood in front of his team because they knew Noah was the only one who had that ultimate available to lock them down, and Hansama immediately cleansed it. So nicely done by G2 to keep GIANTX at bay. And somehow, even though they lose Broken Blade, they managed to get double Nexus turrets off that push.
Right in front of them.
Yeah, G2 in playoffs is a bit of a scary beast.
We're not talking about Broken Blade, although 3,500 gold up for this Warwick. As I said before, Terminus, he needs to get his autos in to get those stacks up. But remember, if GIANTX have to use everything on him, then the rest of the G2 are going to laugh and take the Nexus next time. So push comes through. Inner turret still holds strong, but the base is still wide open from the bot side as Elder is coming up in 20 seconds. And G2 are goading GIANTX to walk in to the Visionless River.
The thing is, there's no pressure on G2 because you have this big wave that's just going to push in on towards the bottom side.
Yeah.
And no Nexus turrets left. So that wave alone with an ultimate from SewMond could end the game. So GIANTX have to be very, very careful as to where this Pantheon is going to be in a matter of moments.
GIANTX approach from the left. G2 start
I mean, look
from
at
the
him.
right.
He's setting it up.
SewMond is looking to Grand Starfall into the base.
He's going.
And Broken Blade will run as well. In he flies. The minion wave at the perfect place at the perfect time. GIANTX have to back away. Broken Blade won't let him. The Primal Howl is in the way. And as he jumps into the base, Caps has joined him as well. Lot sent starboard. And Caps and SewMond will take game 1 in Primal fashion.
It's only a matter of moments. They didn't quite pad the KDA, but they did pad themselves a game win in this one. Very well played by G2.
G2, it was a classy game 1. It might not have been clean all the way, but bloody ferocious. Those are the words you'll hear. As ladies and gentlemen, we're going to throw to a quick break after this. See if GX can fight back in this best of 3.
What an incredible play there from...
Oh, that was incredible. You love to see it.
Right, yeah, let's really
What
get into...
a move! He's just so good. I mean, the persistence, the patience to find the angle. You just don't see that from rookies. He's got it all. He's got the bad.
Have a break. Have a Kit Kat.
Ooh, that looks good. Do you want to maybe share a little bit? Yeah.
What a move!
Red Bull gives you wings.